I'm gonna mute my mic while I set it up. Hello. Testing microphone check. Good levels, but am I live? And I'm live. Yeah, you too. Now this is carbon monoxide surface conditions in Australia. Setting up the chroma. Okay. You got the border. You got some pretty serious fires burning in northern western Australia. A couple of fires, a lot of smoke. Their footprints and their plumes. And then you have QLD. This is Northern Territory, Western Australia. This is not one for one, just a rough estimate of where everything's at. And currently, Australia's seeing pretty decent bushfires in Northern Territory that's engulfing the area in smoke. Better idea. A lot of drought in the southwest. What we're looking at, nitrogen dioxide. Better be able to see the parameters and the footprint of the fires. Each one of these is its own individual fire, at least one fire burning in these areas. And then Alice Springs is something right here. There's a lot of smoke in the area, there's a lot of different elements in the area. There's a lot of conditions for further fires. As let me turn on radar here. This is borders. So this is Australia here. Turn on radar. This is a tropical storm, Lola, that's currently barreling down the way over Vanuatu. Always interesting when hurricane or tropical cyclone goes over a highly volcanic area. And pull a lot of material up to the surface. That is tropical cyclone Lola, what is it? Lola. Category 4 tropical cyclone is the same as a hurricane, it's the other way around. Now to the latest scan. You can see there is absolutely no rain anywhere to be found in Australia. I think this is day 3, and these drought conditions are getting worse. You're surrounded by hot seawater in a warm Gulf, blanketed by smoke for days at a time that traps in heat and causes moisture to escape. Speaking of which, let's check moisture level of and around Australia. So from October 11th to 24th, that. Fourth, 22nd, moisture index. I'm sorry you can't see that far left side of my screen. I will fix that when I can. Bone dry. This is really intense. This is alongside a river too, and you can barely see that's a river channel. We're having drought-stricken conditions in the southwest of Australia and Western Australia and Northern Territory. It's strange. With a wildfire, what it will do, you'll have all this grass, and then you'll have all this delicious moisture-rich soil below it. The fire rips all the vegetation out, any root support, eliminating the security there, and chases all the moisture away, around the ground, in and around the ground. The moisture doesn't come back, recedes. As of right now, Alice Springs has seen a number of bushfires around it in the north side. These conditions are looking very dire for Australia, especially in Northern Territory where they're seeing record wildfires. I do say record wildfires. Only in Bolivia have I seen another fire that large that was going on north of Alice Springs, the west of smoke here. False color, where you can see all these previous burns. And some current ones that are very much still burning in the Northern Territory. Right here. One right here. And right here. All burning. Either they're hot or they're just cooling. But these fires, I wouldn't imagine any of them are actually out. Considering you can see false color. Darker burns, pressure of the fire. looks like these two fires join together. It's a lot of massive scorched earth just right in there. These fires join together, become mega fires, become larger. There's smoke. Smoke mends the fires and pulls the fire together. As one side meets the other, they'll mend together. And the smoke will be stronger, and it'll be a suspension bridge of support. Let's come back over. Very hot. Am I reading that correctly? Is that really 38.5 C? .1 C, 104.1 degrees Fahrenheit, 313.2 degrees Kelvin. All this here is in extreme trouble. There are wildfires burning throughout the region, as well as there's massive amounts of smoke heading towards the western side of Australia, Western Australia, crossing the border. But for this area is very hot, rocky, sandy, hilly, lots of dunes. It's a lot of fire activity that take advantage of the slopes, either in dry river beds, draw all the moisture, push it away out of these riverbeds, making them potentially extinct. It is a calamity already. So just check fires just real quick. That matches up. Okay, X out of that. Now these fires that are burning in Western Australia to Northern Territory and some in Queensland. The ones in Queensland are dangerously close to the Gold Coast and Brisbane. Not on the back door, but it did bump up to the hillside. Dangerously close. Now these fires, let's get my borders on and turn borders on. Keep borders on this window. There's Alice Springs, as I mentioned. This is Northern Territory. I realize I keep doing this, but I have Google Earth open for a reason and I'm never actually using it. This will go, this is planet Earth. They're zooming in Australia. All those lines are fault lines, fracture lines. These arrows here are plate tectonic movements. 70 millimeter. Oh. We're looking right now in Australia. Very hazardous areas. Heavy fire. These satellite images on Google Earth are not live, so it's not representing the fires and everything we've been seeing with others, but I am just showing exactly like Brisbane. Okay, move it over a little bit and it still works. And here, heavy fire risk, and maybe some down here along the coastline as well, heading into New South Wales. The smoke is thinning out. It doesn't mean it's going away. It's just when fire burns, it lets all the smoke out. It's going to hit a point in the sky where it can't go up anymore, and it's going to go forward. And it's going to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll and roll. And then it starts making much thinner plates of smoke. Now, if the fire were to hit a thermal inversion, it'll make that plate right above it. It's not typical to see it in wildfires that I've seen. Normally that would appear evident in the satellite images of being at 35,000 feet. Volcanoes. Think of volcanoes, because volcanoes cheat. They have all that additional height to put it up into the atmosphere. They don't have to have the power blasted 3,500 meters. So, not many active volcanoes, maybe just two. The McBride and Newer volcano province, but it's not volcanic. And if it is something involving dams, involving firefighters on strike, seeing a lot of drought conditions all throughout Australia at a time where fire season is still going. Started in August. Back to satellite images. Now this smoke that we keep talking about, it thins out and moves, but it doesn't move on its own. Smoke is sticky. It's gonna find each other and make little structures in the sky when they go at rest. So wind hits it, weather, clouds come careening into it. You see here, it's burning on multiple fronts, very active. Very wind driven, these whips. Wispy. That's smoke? I don't think that's smoke, okay. But These fires have been burning hundreds of kilometers in just days. These have potential to continue. While this fire still burns outwards, allowing for these two fires to meet up. It's happened several times already, even though it's not creating mega fires. It's just two forces meeting that pass each other and start burning the fuel the other fire left behind. That's how fresh these fires are, and they're just trading now. Pretty massive, a lot of smoke. The fires themselves, bush fires, are slow, but they cover enormous amounts of ground in a few short days, as well as expelling plenty of smoke in the very near altitude, where people on a cliff might notice some strange formation that looks like fog, but it's too dark to be fog. Hazy, the sun's refracting, you don't know what it is. There's smoke everywhere, and there's absolutely no air quality sensors to speak of in Australia, except ACT, New South Wales, Gold Coast. You're not going to see any of these air sensors registering the smoke in Northern Territory or Western Australia. And this has been some of the worst smoke I've seen since the Canadian wildfires earlier in the year that prompted so much closure and fear in the Northeast and Midwest. And the Oregon wildfires have been burning, pumping smoke south to the Bay Area, as well as wildfires to east of Sacramento, putting more smoke in the Bay Area. But those have plenty of sensors to tell where smoke is at for a variety of reasons, especially if you're hiking. You don't want to be hiking for miles at a time and you're stuck in smoke, as it just becomes around you. It falls down. Say it comes down, it floats down, it hits air pressure that pushes it down, or two cloud structures separate from high to low and go under and over the cloud, hiding it. That's whenever you start seeing smoke that wraps up into a squall line that becomes strong. You don't want that arc to come down as a smoky tornado. A lot of strange things that can happen with smoke because it doesn't have to do anything. It just has to sit. It doesn't move on its own. Pulled, pushed, blown around. See a lot of evidence of previous burns just in the past few short weeks. But these fires have tremendous gains. Show better representation. Let's look at a time lapse. Of this northern area here in Northern Territory. I'm only going from the 11th to the 24th, just be a few short slides. Now, here's the date up here. Sorry, it's a little hidden. 10/13/2023 at 15 kilometers. This wildfire right here, that amazing smoke plume already. This is from a few short days ago. Now we'll go turn on fade. transition, play. It's hundreds of kilometers that it eventually becomes. So now we are at the 10th. We went 5 days from the 13th to the 18th, and we're seeing enormous spread. And right D5, so we'll remember that was 5th day, this fire perimeter. I'll go one more slide ahead. Even though it's a partial scan, or actually partial for what we're looking at, it's a partial scan, not that it didn't get only partial. Definitely, it scans in very particular lines. Here, I'm not going to leave that there because it's probably evident in the next scan over. Go to the 23rd. From day 5, there's hundreds of kilometers of gains in just a few short days and a week. This is all from just the last few days. Now, let's see what the colors can use on this to show up. Yeah, it just seems red's the best for now. I gotta play with the color settings. So that's the 23rd. So we see that this fire started here. Started here on the 13th. And then October 18th. And then October 23rd. These are the progression of this fire. Just this one focal point at where a fire was burning just a few short days ago exploded in size to hundreds of kilometers, hundreds of square kilometers. This has to burn in and out to achieve that kind of scorched earth look. It's not just burning in zigzags, it's not just burning in lines, but it's really roaring around here. Again, this plays a time lapse of these 3 images. This is wildfire. Correct this here. Those 2 sections are where the wildfires were on the 13th. And then we go 1 more day, I'm sorry, 5 more days to the 18th, or 4 more days. Depending if you look at the date or the satellite geosynchrony. This is 5 days after that scan. 4 days after, I should say it. Then we go to the 23rd. Just let it play for just a second. These fires in Australia, in the Northern Territory, are making ferocious gains and letting out terrible bush smoke all throughout the countryside. The smoke is going to go west. It's going to not shield fire, but smoke will be a dome over all these fires that will allow it to travel further, because the smoke will decay where it lands. Pieces of hot particulate matter will fall and burn places. But this is just one fire, and if you can't see where this fire is going just by me doing this, let me get rid of all that. There is also a fire burning right here. In the northwest side of this fire, and it's connecting right here like a suspension bridge. Smoke will allow it. It's not that the smoke's following the fire, but the smoke is constantly being expelled, the gases, all kinds of energy and forces that are pushing the smoke in certain directions. And since it sticks together, it can twirl and mend into other fires' smoke. And that's where we're going to see this connect right here. Not that it's going to be a mega fire, but it's going to be two different bushfires that are going to trade fuel. So what this fire here hasn't burned already, but this fire here hasn't burned already, the other fire is going to stay true in its path and just keep decimating the countryside. If these flames were to hit a rocky outcrop or something just before it, and it would cause massive flame up. Some really nasty fires here. Not very large, but it's starting to come clear of the smoke structure. When smoke arcs around like a suspension bridge, it'll pull on itself. And that's just the Northern Territory of Australia, and that's just one fire that's currently burning in the Northern Territory of Australia. Currently see these fires have connected. Let's make a time lapse of it. This is such a huge region that's burning. How can I fit this in? Yes. I'll do. Down here in the south side of it is a huge number of fires. Active fire perimeter on in different directions. It's any degree of go. Turn these off. So again, this is not the same fire we were just looking at. It just happens to be prompted that way. But I'll color this in. And this is day 13. Now this is (10/18). You can see here, just in a few short days, just how much ground these fires can cover. The fire season's just beginning. One more slide. Going to the 23rd. A little bit left out, but that's fine. That's 23rd, 23rd, 23rd. Here as well, 23rd. These are massive gains. Let's push play. Let it play for a minute to just see the speed and ferocity. You know, it might look like because it's darker the whole, but it's where I have highlighted where the fires have been burning. So from the 13th, the 18th, 23rd, in 10 days. X out of it. Put it back on real quick. Nope. Not gonna work. New fires burning. So come back to where we just were. $115 kilometers. $153 kilometers. $140 kilometers. It's massive. It's hundreds of square kilometers, and these runs are hundreds of kilometers in themselves. That went from here to there. Each one of these is run. It can be either by a zigzag, wind whip. You get smoke that comes out that drops hot material that starts fires. It's a lot. But these fires are massive. And most of the Northern Territory looks like it's on fire. And some of this is really big black billowing smoke here. These fires continue to look more dangerous. And since Australia has nothing for air quality sensors and stations, all this smoke, all this fire is being underreported, because if there was danger, it would show up on air quality. No, there's not. There's two in all of Northern Australia. Two. And it's not the same. They need to be at different levels. Building height, at least. Not tucked away. You don't want people to know how bad the air is getting around you. People aren't putting their own online. They're not that expensive. Australian government should be doing this. Especially if the fire season being in August, want smoke detectors. Why do they want that smoke detector? Fires are just endless. A lot of them just zombies just shambling left and right. You get these oddball ones that are just strange patterns of burn. Now that was just some of the two biggest fires I think we've seen so far. Going down to Alice Springs, as we mentioned previously, there is these fires. This is Alice Springs. It's burning out of control just north of it. Since the wind isn't going that way, it's not going to show the air quality. This isn't hard. They're going to want these air quality stations, so this isn't going to stop. The fire season's just beginning. The closer I go to Rockhampton, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, Warwick, you see these tremendous fires burning. Whole line here, and this is smoke. And this is where the fire is at. That's a massive plume. And it's raining down material and ash and soot. Go back over to Zoom Earth, where we'll get real-time updates, real scans, 10-minute intervals. One of the best websites I've seen. After they got rid of this nonsense at different levels, it doesn't zoom in anymore. And the other service I use for the 10-minute intervals for Australia is currently down, so I don't know anything else. The other way to look at 10-minute intervals of Australia. I was at theweatherguy.com, which is 403 right now. Pretty dirty fire here. This is Queensland. We haven't looked at Queensland yet, but there are pretty big fire right here, even though it's not a big fire yet. It has potential, and then free spot fires here. Wildfires burning extremely close to Hope Vale. Fires here, northwest of Port Douglas. These look really close. I'm going to use a 3-hour time lapse on these regions. Here, here, right here, right here. Some fires in this max right here. These are pretty big fires that are burning towards some very lush coasts of the Gold Coast. Ooh. It's a very terrible looking fire. Either it hit something big, or the smoke was on the ground lower. Is that another fire? Yeah, that's another fire. This is by McKay. Yeah. Here's that. See the plume. Pretty nasty fire there. Very close to the coastal cities in Queensland. Still have it on. Oh, wow. Okay, these fires are back at it in Queensland. You see the fires burning right here. Another fire here. This below you. All smoke. Plenty of smoke here. Pretty big fire right here. Another one over to the west side. Yes, now that we're south of the Gold Coast, Grafton and Woolgoolga, there are some fires that are currently starting right here, here, right here along this terrain. Barely notice it here, and another one potentially here. These are nasty little spot fires. These bush fires, they can become big really fast, as we've seen in a few short days. Another one? That's a pretty big fire here. Here's the burn front of it. You got smoke coming off it. Don't know if this, yep, that's a fire. A lot of new fires in Queensland today. A lot of, wow. Sorry, I had mic muted. Where all the smoke's at. This fire just 27 kilometers away from Denman. See the fire, how it bends like that? Sorry, the smoke. The fire is burning awfully good. It's orange. Now you get into, oh, we are in New South Wales. These fires are burning in New South Wales. I gotta turn on board. Yeah, those are burning pretty deep along the coastline of New South Wales. Didn't even realize I was going that far south looking at all these fires, one after another in tandem. There are some very terrible things to come. This looks grim. These fires are no longer spot fires, bush fires. These are wildfires, and they're numerous. It's a lot of wildfires. Let me pause that so it doesn't keep moving. The greatest risk. I really wish this was a joke or an over-exaggeration. And then you got lots and lots. A lot of drought. We saw drought here, drought here, drought there, drought there, drought there, drought there, drought there, all throughout here. But these areas here, not here yet. Fires burning here. Fires burning here. A lot of fires burning here. A few fires burning there actually. And then getting into south of Coffs Harbour and New South Wales, you started getting a lot of different kind of grass fires and slopes and hills and runs where the fire can make use of the channeled dunes of wind. By wind, from wind. So this is a lot of very alarming fire activity, especially so close to Brisbane, Newcastle. If it goes any more south and it is anywhere near Sydney, we'll finally hear about it, I guess. Oh, we gotta see Sydney Harbour. We gotta see something iconic in Australia, some bridge, something smoke you can't see above it, but the rest of Australia's been suffering for weeks without seemingly much help or If these fires are beaten back and contained, they jump those lines. There's no way of looking at any kind of pattern that looks discernible. No one will put themselves in harm's way in those fires that are burning inside and outside of the fire perimeter. It would be just the outer perimeter. It would just be burn lines. It wouldn't be random chaos just everywhere, torching the land. These are here. Come up here where else I circled. Yep. There's a lot of smoke building up here in the northern territory. Yep, northern territory. Far east of Darwin on the other side of the... I hope none of these islands are on fire. These fires look like they're just all over the place. Nope. Start to see that smoke here. Fire burn. Perimeter. And a fire right here. Fire right here. So scarred land. But also here. Now coming back down to the Western Australia. This is north of Broome. Pretty big burns. East, no, not that big. Yeah, more like here. Don't know if it went here. That looks burned. But you can see this land up north here has been burning. These are big fires, a lot of smoke. And these fires have been making runs like carriage return on a typewriter. Back. And these is from point A to point B, 68 kilometers. These are not small fires. But there are no air quality stations in Western Australia either. So you can't really get a good glimpse of what the smoke, what the air quality is like, because there's nothing to report on it besides looking at the smoke conditions nearby where you want to go hiking or mountain climbing or running or any other kind of recreational activity you might find yourself in that requires you to be above sea level on some kind of giant rock where a big old pot of smoke just starts descending that you think it's fog. Really mess your day up. And that's the kind of smoke that we're seeing here. Smoke that jumps borders and jump containment lines. Not that you can really stop the smoke as much. control the smoke, contain the smoke. It have the smoke follow the water. The smoke's going to lead to whatever follows. Smoke going to want to keep going. You blast a huge hose into some smoke that you want to keep back, keep down, poke a hole in it. This is ludicrous. So, these, I can't keep. I was going to compare this fire to any other fire that I've been covering, but they're all unique in their own particular way. It's just so much drought. But not only is there drought, there's continued a pestilence of fire that will continue to make matters worse throughout Northern Territory, Australia. That's Australia. A lot of peril, a lot of scorched earth, a lot of bush smoke all over the place. A lot of very hot active fire perimeters everywhere. Northern Territory, Queensland, New South Wales, and Western Australia all see wildfires right now, or bushfires and wildfires. Some are pretty small, but it's a lot of smoke. Others are pretty large and they're burning rapidly. These are the fires that were at Port Macquarie, Kari. See the burn land here. Now, awful lot of smoke here. Oh, there's the fire. What I mean by an active fire perimeter, it's burning inside the line, outside the line. It's coming out. So if this was a containment line, the fire is just too much. There's too much smoke mending between all of these fires, causing a solid support above the fire. You get a blast through the smoke. Smoke's gonna go everywhere that you put it. Smoke just wants to stay still. These Glen Creek Road, possible drilling operations, oil mining, but it doesn't matter, they're all on fire. Well, I guess it really does matter, but I can't tell from just that. Make an assumption that it's an oil well, drilling operation, anything, mining operation, mine tailing dams, anything, but it's so close to popular beaches that there has to be something. Sorry for that quick tube screen flash. Check the moisture level in New South Wales. Might be plenty of moisture, but these random fires that are burning along the coastline and inside the coastline north of New South Wales will drive away moisture. It doesn't matter if it's by the ocean. Moisture wants to get away from that heat death. Western Australia. Again, when these fires in northern Western Australia make their way down like they've been doing in northern Australia, similar path, similar fashion, this is going to be a sudden shock of extreme wildfire activity east and north of Perth. Absolute dire drought conditions. These rivers aren't even being detected having H2O. All drought stricken. Rivers are done. And satellites not even pulling up that they have a drop of moisture in them. Pretty massive. Worth checking again later, as thermal inversions aren't just top to bottom. This is Dyer here. This is Northern Territory, Australia, to Queensland. Alice Springs, Northern Territory, Australia, is massive amounts of drought, including the areas that haven't been burned yet. Aerosol, nitrogen, sulfur dioxide. So the aerosol, ultraviolet aerosol index. These are the fires that we saw burning right just by Brisbane, the Gold Coast Harbor. A couple of fires burning there. Overall idea of where fires are burning north in Queensland. Yep. That's all smoke that we've been looking at. This smoke here looks very strange because it's been mixed with so many other fires along the countryside. Go back. Carbon monoxide. If you see these fires again, burning by Brisbane, Gold Coast, from the northern area of Queensland and going up further north. There's some. Let's go back one day to the 23rd. Carbon monoxide levels pretty extreme in the same area that we've been looking at in Northern Territory. Some of the worst air quality that we can find right now. Nitrogen dioxide in the troposphere. Gold Coast, Brisbane. It's 3 different ways that we just confirmed all of these fires that we've been looking at on satellite all this time. Not a fire here, but just absolute terrible conditions. There was a lot of moisture that was here, and fire finds the way. quite a bit of, I imagine, pretty terrible air to breathe. Not reflective on the country, but it is reflective when you try hiding it or just not doing anything the bare minimum, like putting air quality sensors. But we can check this. Go to windy.com. Now we can see our air quality sensors are all over the place, and you can zoom in and there's going to be plenty more, especially over here. I was just mentioning earlier these fires burning east of Sacramento, that they still are burning. Got pushed back pretty good, it looks like, and put down. Yeah, everything was fine. But as you can see how many air quality stations and sensors are all around the countryside. If I remember correctly, you allow people to submit their own data and their own recordings. Now you come down to Australia, what is going on? There are more air quality stations in all of Tasmania than Northern Territory, Western Australia combined. This is a problem. Using this, when we were looking at air quality earlier and other conditions, you might have seen in South Australia right here, Northern Australia right here, southeast of Alice Springs, as dust is accumulating, so that will still show up, but not the same as what we're looking at here when it comes to this carbon monoxide, sulfur, ozone, sulfur dioxide, ozone, aerosolized particulate matter 2.5, nitrogen. That's why we do the dust check. It might be dust that's causing all the problems. But instead, we confirmed numerous fires 6 different ways, and you can see what isn't smoke and fire. Currently in the South Australia, that's causing issues. Dust. Now we come down here to looking at where is corrected reflectance. See a most recent scan. Yep. Back to those fires one last time, as you can see. Each plume. It's a lot of smoke that keeps getting put up, and the smoke thins out and waits for more smoke. Fires are tremendous in Australia, Northern Territory, in Western Australia, as far as Queensland, Gold Coast, down in New South Wales, around the coastline there. Significant fires, a lot of smoke. Nope, no other way of looking at it. I believe that is all I have to look at and address. as these conditions are deteriorating and escalating quickly in the Northern Territory and Western Australia. It is pretty grim. Okay. Be safe. Have a good night.